Hey guys, we're going to be adding infinite scrolling to our products list. This is a good idea because as we get more and more products, it's going to be hard to load them all at the same time, which is what we're currently doing, because it's just going to take longer to load and it's not a great user experience. So instead of loading it all at once, we're going to chunk it. So we're going to load like maybe 10 values at once, keep scrolling, load more as we are loading. And this problem is really split up into two things. First, recognizing when we reach the bottom of the list, and then the second is actually fetching more items and updating the flat list. So the first problem is actually super easy because flat list has a property for us called on end reached. And this is just a function you can pass, and we can just say console.log hey guys, and this will be printed whenever we reach the bottom of the list. Now when I was doing this, I noticed we had a little bit of a styling issue. Notice how we can't see the bottom item in this list. So notice how the scroll bar is at the bottom, but if I scroll a little bit more, I can see Werner down there. But it doesn't let me get to him. And the reason for that is this outer view is not flexing. So I'm going to just create a quick style for him. Styles.outer container, and we're gonna just add it here. So outer container, and I'm gonna say display flex, and then flex 1. Okay, so now I see hey guys, and if I scroll down, nothing happens, right? So it printed out twice, and it didn't even print out when I reached the bottom of the list. What's going on there, right? Why isn't this working like we think it is? Well, there's another property called onEndReach threshold, and this is where you can set how close you have to be to the bottom to actually trigger it. So I'm going to say you have to be exactly at the bottom. You have to be able to see it 0 pixels away from the bottom. Now, for whatever reason, it does display this first one. I don't know why it does that. Maybe, I think I once tried wrapping it like this, and that seemed to help it. But we might just have to set a little flag. But notice as I scroll and I hit the bottom, it says hey guys again. So I'm not sure why it gets triggered the first time, but at least we can get it to trigger afterwards, which is important. And we can set a little flag to make sure we don't trigger on the first one if that keeps happening. So we now can detect the bottom. Another nice feature that a lot of applications have is like a little loading indicator when you reach the bottom. And again, this is very easy with flat list. There's a function called list footer component. Now here we can put whatever we want. I could put a text that says loading. I could put a little graphic. But what that'll do is it'll display it at the bottom. So let's see if you guys can see that. See how it says loading down there? And we would fetch more items and then push it down, and you wouldn't see that when it's finished. Now, there's actually a better component to use for this. It's called activity indicator. So this is something coming from React Native, and we can actually just copy. Pick the color you like, pick the size. I guess we'll just do small, and paste him in. So let's go ahead and import this from React Native. So activity indicator. So now at the bottom we're going to have that little scroll. And I guess that looks really small. Let's make him large. Alright, nice. That looks better. So now when we reach the bottom, so I talked about the flag, right? How am I going to do this flag thing to make sure this function doesn't get called twice? Well, I'm just going to say if this dot called once, then do stuff. Otherwise, this dot called once is equal to true. So now hey guys should hopefully be printed once. So notice this is the new console log. We don't see it reach the bottom. It says hey guys. So now we only trigger hey guys when we reach the bottom of the list. So perfect. So now we want to display more items. So we want to use, and I have this running in npm run dev so I can connect to the database. There's this really nice thing called products connection, and we can run it, and this is what it looks like. So what is this products connection thing? So it is right here, and you pass it the same things that you would pass if you were trying to fetch products. But the only difference is this has some helpful things for pagination. Now the ones we'll be using, we don't care about previous and start cursor, but we care about this has next page and end cursor. So when I run this, what's going to happen is it's going to give me this string, which is the ID of the item of the cursor. And this is how we're going to use this to fetch more items. And it even tells me if I have more items in the list. So those are the two attributes that are added on. Now edges is how we access our products. So notice how with our products up here, it's the exact same, but it actually just returns products. The product connection gives us this product connection thing back. And so it has page info, which is these two things I was talking about, which we're going to be using for pagination to check if we need to fetch more or if we reach the very end. And in cursor, this is what we're going to use to fetch more items. We'll talk about more of that later. And then edges is actually where our products are. So edges and then node, and then that's a product. So that's how we access that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is set this up in the backend so we can have products connections being called, and then I'm going to get it working on the front end and just convert stuff over. So let's add this to the backend first. And similar to how we did it here, where we just add a query and so cool little trick someone showed me is you can actually just say query dot and then the name of the query you'd like to import. So for us, the query is products connection. Now I don't know if you can see how I had to do I added it like this. Now I can just import it because it's already made for me on the database. Now I don't know if that'll let me override it over here, so we're gonna have to see. But now I can do products connection, and here I'm checking to make sure the user is logged in, and then I'm forwarding to the database. So now on my front end in products, I am just going to say, and let's console.log the products that we get. So instead of doing products, I'm going to say products connection. And because I'm doing products connection, I don't just get these guys right here. Right? I have to go to something like this. So I'm going to copy this over. And let's make it pretty. So this is how it works, right? I have to access my products through the node. I can't just get in the outer layer. So we're going to copy this and paste it in over here. So delete that and give that a save and see what we get back. Now I'm expecting this to crash right now because we don't expect to have edges and nodes and stuff, but hopefully we should be able to see the request, and let's see what happened. I'm guessing we crashed on the server. I don't see any errors, but also this is white, so I don't know what happened. Let's try just refreshing again. Nothing happened. My guess was I wasn't sure if we're able to actually have products connection here. I want to see if this is being called. So I'm going to say hello. And now I'm going to pop over here to my server, refresh this, and see if this does indeed get called. And it spits out all these things. It looks like it's working from the database side, so that's really cool to see. I'm guessing that my query is just wrong. I'm guessing it doesn't like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this query and and post it over here and make sure this is set up good. And I'm going to pop over here to my regular database. So we have products connection there. Make this pretty, and let's just see. All right, we get not authorized. That's fine. but it didn't crash, so it looks like the correct syntax. I kind of want to get a header. I don't know if this is the right token. Alright, so let's do a mutation. I'm going to log in as, I think I have a guy named Q. Q is the password. And I want to get the payload, which is a token. So now I'm going to just use that to run this query. So let's copy this and get that out of my way. And now we can actually run this and see whether something's wrong with our, what's wrong with our client or our backend. So bear, paste, run. Alright, so it looks like we get everything back that we would expect to get back, and I know exactly what's happening now. I'm just a noob. It just hit me. I think it's just returning null is what's happening, because it wasn't crashing or anything. Cool, so it's just undefined, because this should be products connection now. So products connection. So now we can put this below here. I think it's going to crash because we're not using products below. Alright, now we're getting it perfect. Alright, so to get this rendering now, what I need to do is in my flat list. Alright, so we're doing products, right? So this should be products.connection. And if we look over here, we have to access edges, which is going to be our array. So dot edges. And then we're going to map through the edges, and for each edge, I guess it's going to be called a node. So for each edge, we're going to have just this, and it's going to have a node. So I'm going to go x.node. So x.node, oops. And we're going to say x.node.seller. And I think, cool, so now we fixed it and we're rendering the exact same. But now we have that extra thing that I wanted. So now up here I can say console.log product connection dot, and what was the name of it? Page info. So now I can use this has next page and this end cursor to get information about this. So it does not have a next page, so that's weird. I think you have to say, we have to add some more parameters to this. So here we need to order by things, and we're actually going to order on our default query by created at. And I'm also going to say first. So first. So after we get like maybe 5 items, right? Or actually, that doesn't have any regards. I was going to say once you get 5 items, you want to get the next 5 items. But that's not how we're doing it. We're actually using a cursor, which means we're grabbing the exact after a certain item. So let's say this is the end of our list, P3. We say grab all the items after P3. First is going to tell us, and we don't actually have to put that here. We can put it here. First is going to say how many items we want to fetch. So this could also be called limit. So I'm going to say 5 items, please. So now I believe, let's give that a save and let it rerun. Page info should tell us we have another page. Cool. So has next page is true. So that's how we know whether. And in our loading indicator, we should only show that if we have more pages and we are loading. Okay, so in cursor is what we use. So there's also going to be this thing called after. After. And I believe it's a string. Let's double check. So we would find that in our schema, procs connection after it is a string. And then we just pass after in here. So how does after work? Well, how do you know where, what items to fetch? What we're going to tell the database is we're going to order it by created at. So if we look at here, we can say order by. One of the fields to order by is created at ascending. So let's grab that. And now we're going to add this to our options. So options, variables, and this is going to be order by. So by default, I would like to order this by the date these were created. So now when I get my first 5 items, right, I would like to fetch the next 5 items. And I'm going to tell the database to fetch the next 5 items after Asher. So I need to pass in Asher's ID so it can get the ones after that. And Asher's ID is going to be the end cursor. Alright, so I think we have this all set up good now. After is going to be null at first, and we're going to just refetch, or not refetch. There's a handy thing from Apollo that says fetch more. So this is different. Fetch more specifically for pagination. And how fetch more works is you change your variable, and then you update the query, and this updates the items in your that you get back. So for us, we're going to do it here. So we're going to say fetch more. And this is something we get from right here. Fetch more. And we have variables. So the variable that's going to change is after, right? Because now we need to tell it what we want to get. And the one we do after is from this guy, products page info. So products connection dot page info dot end cursor. Yep, that was the name of it. The other thing is we have to tell it. Oh, and it looks like that should not be a comma. The other thing is we have to tell it how to integrate with the rest of our items with this update query. And I'm going to console log this so we can see what this looks like. But previous result is going to be what we had before. It's going to be this thing right here, this monstrous object with all our products and things. And then fetch more result is going to be just what's going to be the return of our fetch more. Okay, and we can say previous result, and after that we can also do fetch more if we want to. Now for us, we don't need to do object.assign, and I'm actually just going to get rid of that because we don't need to worry about it. Okay. So how I'm going to do it is we have 2 things, right? So we have this object, and it actually helps, I think, if we look at this. So we have page info and edges. So the thing we need to update is this edges and the page info. So page info can come directly, and I can do ... previous result. And I don't know if there's going to be data around this. There might be a .data I have to do on it. We'll see. Let's look over here. Do they do .data? They don't, so I think we're good. So I'm going to keep the previous result, and then from fetch more, I'm going to just set the page info equal to fetch more result dot page info. And then we're also going to have edges. And how the edges work, we're going to keep the edges we had before, so previous result dot edges, and then we're going to add the new edges we just fetched. Fetch more result dot edges, and give that save, reload, and let's see what the heck is going on now. And okay, it just needs dangling comma. So I have my console open so we can see if there's any problems. Needs an array, we've got null. So let's take a look at what we got back because we did not do it correctly. So we get edges, which is an array. That's good. And we should have from our fetch more edges as well. Oh. So I'm going to just do a separator because it's hard to see where these are different. So from one of these items, we're missing what we need. Because we got requires an array like, and I did ... on it, so I assume something. So I'm just going to rerun that and see what we messed up on. Okay, so it looks like we got a function. So fetch more result is a function. I was console logging the wrong thing. I was so confused why we got a function right here. So get the bottom result, we lag out. So all right, so this object, it's called products connection. All right, so we're gonna keep the previous result, and then we're gonna say products connection. And I guess we want to keep the type name for projects connections. So underscore type name. Apollo gets mad if you don't have it in the exact same format, so let's copy that. So we added our type name, and I don't think we need to even do that. So this needs to be products connection, and this needs to be products connection too. Product connection. Oops. And there actually might be something that array does this for us, because this is relay style. Oops. Products. And let's take a look at that. Oh, it actually loaded more items. It actually worked. And then looks like it crashes after that, which is fine. So here you want to just say this dot called once, and we're going to say page info products connection dot page info dot next page, I think was the name, has next page. So we don't want to fetch more items if they don't have a next page. And I'm just going to format this guy. Get rid of the console logs. All right, so scroll. Did we load them? And that's because I did the wrong thing. I need a not in front of it. So if it does not have a next page, we don't want to load. All right. And that didn't work either. Has next info, has next page. Right? Yep. I don't know how that changed in between the two, but okay. Oh, okay. I don't put a not sign. I'm sorry. I just messed that up really bad. So if we do have a next page, we want to fetch more. I was just using the wrong. Am I still using the wrong thing? I need to just console log here. Console.log products connection dot page info has next page should be, says that's what it's called, dot has next page. Okay, so true, it should be. All right, good. Now it's actually fetching them, and here, cool, doesn't fetch anymore, but we're still showing the loading indicator. So that's going to be up here, our list footer. We're going to say, we can copy this, has next page. So if it has a next page, then we show that loading indicator. So for this first one, we get more items. What the heck, did we break it again? It seemed to work when I had the console log statement, and then when I remove the console log statement, it seems to break. Not here, right here. Products connection dot page info. See, look, now it loads. I don't know why that is. That's very odd. All right, so we don't see the loading indicator. All right, I think I'm happy with this. At least that part of it. That looks good. So now I want to try this again with just more items in my database, right? Because I have a very short list of items. And there's ways to see the database and all that jazz. But in my opinion, the easiest way to do this is if we just come over here and spam create some. So I'm going to copy the price and the name. And we're going to say mutation. Why is this red? I'm just going to refresh it. There we go. And we're going to create product. So, and let's just paste in that. So here we're going to pass in a price, or the name is new Sally. The price is 11 and the picture URL. Oh crap, I want to get, oh, I'm on this. I want to be on, oops. So I don't want to be creating this from the app because we have the picture. I want to create a, just pass in the picture URL. Oh, it takes a data object. There we go. And we're going to copy this. Feel free also to seed instead of doing this. So make it pretty. And we're going to say we can get the ID back. And let's make sure we get what else does it need? Let's look at our schema. This will tell us create product, data. So name, picture ID, price. Is seller mandatory? Seller is mandatory. Seller connect, and we can give it a email. Okay. So we're going to say seller, and we're going to say connect, and we're going to pass in an email, which is Q. And you guys can't see this. Let's make this pretty. Oh, it won't drop it to a new line. Alright, this is what I did. So to specify the seller for this, I connected it with the email Q. So create, cool. So now I can just spam create a ton of these guys, right? And this will just fill my database with products to test pagination. Now this is not like a great way to do it because it's a bunch of duplicate data, but it's the fastest in my opinion. I actually looked into how you like import data with Prisma, and it doesn't look the simplest, at least as simple as that. Okay, so let's give this a try now. Instead of showing the name, because the name is going to have tons of duplicates, right? So we can fetch. We're just going to get a bunch of new Sallys, right? Oh, interesting. We seem to be getting problems with the keys. I wonder if that's a problem with ours or if I just did, if I'm fetching the same guy more than once. I guess we could check our database and see. So we could fetch all the products. And we can get products, and we can get the ID, and we could sort them by ID, and then you can see which IDs are the same. Now you would think this would not have any duplicates in it, and it doesn't look like it. Let's sort by ID, order by, and we can say ID ascending. And this makes it easy to scan. You can see any duplicates, and I don't see any. So that means there's something wrong with our pagination. So I have no idea what's wrong with our pagination right now. We're very close to finishing it though, so this is where I'm going to end this video. We kind of went off in tangents a lot, which is my fault, but we got this working, at least semi. We'll have to fix this key warning, but that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching.